Welcome to Between X and Z with Wallace and Dozer. You are now listening to episode number 20. This obstacle is going to be called New Jobs and New Beginnings. As always, iTunes, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube as well. Comments, subscribe, let us know what you think, and let's get it going. Welcome to the show. I'm Wallace.
And I'm Dozer.
Well, a little audio thing there.
It took a little while.
This is
We're rusty, baby.
A little bit. But you know what? Rust is good to kick off. And this is episode 20. We're talking about new jobs, new beginnings, and it's a big one. It's a big one for, I think, everyone, including myself, who just started a new job 6 weeks ago.
Nice. First, congrats officially on the cast. We haven't talked about that, but yeah. I mean, new beginnings are something. You know, obviously, if you didn't get a new job, it's all the same thing. New path of life, new hobby, new relationship. That's kind of what we're focusing on in this cast. Now, new job is that for these older, these 30-something climbing the hill. A lot of you are in a career, or bouncing a career, or shuffling careers, and yeah, this is a hot topic, man. I mean, this is one of those things that everyone experiences at least once in their life.
Well, I mean, now with millennials, you have this, we talked about in episode 4 with career divorce, which was easy. It's easy to just cut and leave and be done.
Oh, yeah, welcome to my life.
Now we're talking about new beginnings. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have this honeymoon of quitting something, leaving something, moving cities, whatever you want to call it, and then all of a sudden you have to start new, which is a bitch. So when I originally got the job in higher ed, I felt like I was retired already because it was very easy. What I was doing was easy, but guess what?
Well, you felt it.
What was I not getting?
Fulfillment and pay.
Well, no, the fulfillment was dope, but
pay.
The problem is pay. So you love what you do.
Yeah, but
I love paying bills.
It's like it's like the artist. Sometimes I always envy an artist. I go downtown or something to those artsy shops, and I see the dude that's in his office and he's just staring at a fucking wall. It's a studio.
Smart.
He probably smoked a joint before he got in there, and I think it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and and I'm Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, man, you must live the fucking life.
How much is that rent?
Well, then you start thinking about it, and you go, damn, man, it ain't easy being that way, because it's about, this is why we talked about this cast. It's being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is the hardest thing to do in all of our lives, right?
Scary.
I mean, that's almost everything. Obviously we're talking about jobs and new experiences that might come in your life. But yeah, being comfortable with the uncomfortable is that really strange thing. Because when you're uncomfortable, you start to second guess. You start to look at others. You start to look at yourself. Yeah. You start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt others. And then it's real easy to just go, fuck it. Let me go back to the comfort. I mean, it's like a baby with a tit.
Man, I was in that way. Quitting was nice. It was, you have your honeymoon once again, but I don't know. I within 2 weeks, I hated my new job because I just have never, getting into higher education, I had just graduated, so grad school. So I was kind of leaving a fairyland and then going to another fairyland of just not being in the real world. This first job I got into was more of a startup that I'm in now, and it's real life shit. And the thing is, what it's doing, it's really testing my brain. It's really using my brain in ways I haven't. I'm using a lot of skills I've had before, but I'm gaining a lot of new ones, which is really nice, and I'm drained. I'm fucking drained. And the funny thing about that artist that you saw getting in 8 a.m., smoking a J, don't forget starving artists.
Most of them are.
Most are, It's
but see,
hard.
that's my point. That's kind of, I mean, I didn't really finish that. So my point isn't so much about the artist. It's like, I think about this with musicians too, right? Or actors, or any one of those, I'll call them prominent careers, if you will, where people are like, man, an athlete, why couldn't I be that, right? I go to a concert and I see that fucking dude, uglier than shit, rocking out, and the girls' panties are just wet, soaking. They need towels down there. And you're thinking, man, that dude must get a fucking rush when he walks off.
Oh, man.
And no, we're not going to talk about all the other problems these people might have. But my point is most of us live our lives wanting these other things, but never take the steps to do them because it's uncomfortable. You know, it's like, well, I never took the step to learn how to fucking rock on a guitar. Never took the step to learn how to sing, learn how to act, learn how to fucking do, like I said, any of these prominent jobs. And that's the thing we forget about these people in Hollywood. Most of them were waiters and waitresses, and then all of a sudden they got big because they were used to the uncomfortable and they just kept trying. Yeah, some people get lucky, right? Too.
It's a lot of luck. Yeah.
There's a luck involved in every aspect of life. But you look at like a lot of big business guys, people that make money, right? That's what we're talking about, because that was the reason you left. Not so much fulfillment,
monetary, yes.
You know, but well, that's life, man. I mean, the rat's got to catch the fucking cheese. He can't just go, man, I really like cheese. It's great. No, you got to catch the fucking cheese.
Well, then you're gonna have other rats that are like, man, you're a sellout, man.
Yeah, dude, man, you're going after the man. Like,
hey, guess what? If I was a garage band and somebody offered me $20,000, constant, you know, high quality luxury goods, what do you think I would say?
Fuck yeah,
because I'm doing the same thing I'm doing. Same thing. Maybe I have somebody, producer, that's like, why don't we just change this tune a little bit? That's fine. I'm paying that motherfucker to go to college.
You know, it's like when people are like, the band, I used to like that band, and then they sold out for the radio. No, you mean that they wanted to make fucking money so they could go on the radio and make money and be prominent. But yeah, I mean, but that's also a little bit what we're talking about. They adapt and overcome. They focus to what is popular. I never really understand why sometimes we're really negative about that. And I think a lot of it has to do, you know, we're talking about music specifically on that. But people are really weird with that. Like, especially as you get older, people are like, oh, you're just so different. Like, I know guys that are in a different career path than I am. And, you know, I used to joke around a lot more when I was working with them or something. This is just an example, of course. But I was used to joke around a lot more. It was a different environment. And it's like, yeah, at some point you got to grow up, or you got to do things you're uncomfortable with. You got to be different to grow. Yeah. You know, you don't have to get out of your true self to, like, I'm not saying, you know, fucking drain your blood out and, you know, but that is part of growth. Is that uncomfortableness and everyone else looking at you going, dude, something's changing with you. Like, what's going on? Think about losing weight or something. It's like, you know, people look at you odd for a little bit, like, oh, no, you're super strict with what you're eating. No, I'm just watching what the fuck I'm eating. You know, it's the same thing. Like, oh, you're big time bigwig now or whatever. No, I'm just growing. I'm trying to do something that is bettering me, and I think that's a little bit of the uncomfortability with new experiences and new jobs, specifically for our age.
Well, I mean, we had a good conversation off cast before I even went into the interview process about this job, and you know, there's a lot of people that you talk to and everyone gives their own 2 cents. And one of the biggest things was like, well, like, do you have growth at your current job? And you and I laugh because we hate that word, growth. It's just
even though I just used it.
No, but you used it in a good way. I'm going to give you a good story. So we have a good international friend. He's your friend now.
Great guy.
He talked about the guitar. So he never really wanted to learn the guitar. He had an emotional set in his life where he just needed something to take his mind off of it. He would hide it in front of people, didn't tell his parents he had it. It was like drugs or something. He just, okay, you have a guitar, let's play. And I would play with him on Skype, and it was so much fun. And this motherfucker got married last year, and you know what he did at his own wedding? He played the fucking guitar. Now, I'm just thinking of like what we're going into with this theme of a new beginning, how scary that is, how uncomfortable you feel. And then there's video of him that I saw. Like, no, I did not attend the wedding. I went to the bachelor party instead.
Good choice.
The guitar, he was just jamming, and I was like, holy shit. That right there was just somebody getting out of the old comfort zone and just going for it. And guess what? Plays all the time now. Like, that's hard to do. That's still hard to do for me.
Well, I think the thing that's really interesting about it is, I mean, you start to focus on these little micro things of this journey or with this new job, and really one of the things, I mean, there's a quote, and it's an overused quote, but it's like, what is it? Most men live a life of quiet desperation.
I've never heard of that.
I've heard of it before. It's quite, I mean, it's used a lot in talks about, climbing shit,
Who said that? Like Dr. Phil or?
Life of desperation. No, it's an older quote. It
is good though.
I can't, it's just running off the tip of my tongue. I can't think of who it is.
Yeah.
But most men live a life of quiet desperation. And that is, the older I'm getting and the wiser I'm getting in certain aspects of my life, and, well, I shouldn't say wiser, the more self-aware I'm getting in certain aspects of my life, you start to see that, a lot of that is true. Like, people bitch about shit that they cannot control, and then when they get an opportunity, a lot of times, because of how uncomfortable it feels, or insecurities, or ego, you shamble it or just discredit it and start second guessing that decision that you made to do that. And it seems to me that just from looking and reading, a lot of people that are successful and fulfilled quickly let those things go because they have an utter belief that the decision they made is the right decision, and that decision is going to, whether it actually is the right decision, it's going to lead them to other right decisions and put them off. And it's really, again, it starts at the beginning. It's about being uncomfortable, and that's exactly what a new job is. And especially guys that are transitioning later, and I'm sure you're experiencing this a little bit too.
This is technically like my third. I mean, they're all kind of tied together, but it's kind of my third different career.
Well, I mean, you're talking to a guy that got out of the military.
That's a huge difference of what you're going into. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's the same thing.
Where do you go?
It's really the same thing, though. I mean, you have a job. You have a job that you're fulfilled. You're in the military. You're a soldier, a Marine, airman.
Yeah.
You get paid. You have a proficiency in that job.
And there's a hierarchy of moving up.
And there's a hierarchy. There's a moving up. There's
absolutely.
A retirement plan.
Yeah.
You get to travel. You get to do things. You have this, and proficiency is that big one, because you're good at things that make sense within the system that you're in. But it doesn't mean you're not good at things that are outside of that system. And I think when you transition to a new job or a new path or a new hobby, and the older you get, the harder it is to go, oh man, you just the fuck it factor kind of comes in. You just say, you know what, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be uncomfortable.
That was me in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks, I had like dreams of going back to my other job, which was like to the point where, I just had to jocko-wilk it, where I just fucking just shut up and work. And then like week 3 to 6 has been good. I've been almost feeling like I would take like a step forward, 2 steps back, but then 3 steps forward, and then maybe a half step. It's just been... You have good and bad weeks, man. It's like climbing. You can't control the weather. You can't control... I mean, you wouldn't climb on that day, but fuck it. Maybe you're on the mountain and something changes.
Sometimes you got to climb.
You have to fucking just keep climbing. Just put your head down and climb. Yeah. Because right now, I can't go back. Where I left was a sinking ship, so it's like I'm to the point where... I don't know. That doubt comes in because then you're looking around. Who's a little bit younger than you? That's when the ego comes in. And
Ego, man. I'm going to shoot out to Ryan Holiday. Oh, yeah, Ego is the Enemy. It is a fantastic book.
I need to read it.
It doesn't go... I mean, it goes in real detail of the 3 stages of an ego that most people would experience in their lifetime. And one thing I like about that book is it doesn't just talk about randomness. It kind of gives you some history of... examples of these people that have made these egotistical decisions in that phase. And I mean, it really is. Ego is death, man. I mean, ego really becomes... Sure, because when you're talking about ego, there's another overused word. You're kind of talking about all these things, right? You're talking about that proficiency. You're talking about that comfort with the comfort of your own ego. Like, I'm better than this. I'm smart. I know exactly what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need to listen. Yeah, I don't need to listen to what you're saying. I know what I'm doing. And all these things kind of creep up when you get into a new experience and a new thing. And it's difficult to curb, but just from, again, it happens to every one of us. I'm not saying this as an aspect of, I'm through that. No, because it fucking happens to me. I know the honest thing, and then someone will say something, and it kind of brings you off, and you go, wait a minute, what is it? You know, does that guy know who the fuck? Like, hey, I do well. Like, you start second guessing yourself and second thinking. Yeah, comparison, and you know, and that is another thing that I think we all battle with. I mean, especially younger millennials or the you know, even younger generation is like, think about who their business people are. Their business people are people like Mark Zuckerberg.
Fuck college, just
yeah, man. I mean, Evan Spiegel or whatever the fuck his name is from Snapchat.
Bezos, the guy from Airbnb who's only like 32.
Yeah, I mean, the guys from Uber, you know, Travis Kalanick or whatever. And these guys are, their thing is in their head, you know, and this isn't just my opinion. This seems to be off of statistical data. I saw this. They asked like, I forgot what age it was. It was like 10 to 16. What do you want to be when you grow up? And most of them said venture capitalist or create a startup.
The startup thing kills me, man, because that's like a spirit we have now.
Yeah, because, you know, because it's there's no, you can't just, a lot of these people, yes, there is luck. Like, there is a large aspect of luck to Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
huge aspect.
But he's also, there's also not just, it's not all luck. It's the right time.
He's very smart.
He's very smart. He put the smart people around him. You know, because there's a lot of people that have had great ideas, and the ideas have crumbled. You know, they were lucky to get the idea, and they could have made a ton of money, but they crumbled it. So it's like, you have these kids, and I say kids, fuck, man, people our age, that their only hope to do something in their life, to make money and progress, is to either make it rich and become a billionaire, or fuck, I'm gonna just die doing a miserable job. And a lot of it seems to be, they never want to take the steps. Like, oh, I want to create a internet startup. Do you know how to code? No, but I'll just come up with a cool idea, man. Okay, like, I'm
good at thinking.
I want to be a venture capitalist. Do you even know what that is? Not really, but I know they make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
You know, people did this, like older generations did this a little bit with like the stock market, right? And like the, you know, like, fuck, man, I'm going to make it big being a stockbroker. I'm going to day trade. And it's like they day trade and they go, what the fuck? I lost all my money. Or, you know, and then quickly run rather than learn the process before and see the path and try to understand it. So,
no, you're correct, man. You're nailing it on the head. I know, like, I've been into like Jocko recently again. I kind of drift in and out of him, but he just released that book, The Field Manual.
Discipline equals freedom, that kind of thing.
I mean, the more I was really, really thinking about those words, like, fuck, it's a very good, I don't even want to use the word niche, but he has a good connection to former military, anybody who's still in, and anybody that wants to get their shit going. Look at that. He got the Kid Warrior book that he did. He's killing it. If I could say it, and no pun intended, he is killing it.
Well, he's about self-belief.
And that's what I like. Because
self-discipline.
The whole discipline equals freedom. I'm thinking, well, what are you getting freedom from? You're getting freedom from all this doubt, all this slow starts. Just by what? Just by fucking shutting up and just doing it. You know, his whole shirt that says, like, it's good. It's the whole story that he had where one of his subordinates kept coming to him and saying, I have a problem with this.
Yeah,
and
good.
Good. Now you've learned something and go home, retreat, make some strategy, and come back and win.
You know, and you're using Jocko.
Yeah.
And that he is a great example because, you know, but a lot of people might not get him because it's the military kind of thing, and they just go, oh, well, he's a Navy SEAL. He's higher. And more, he's higher and more important than I am. But the reality of it is I've been flirting with that idea for a while here.
Which one?
The kind of idea of not giving a fuck. In a good way, because that's really what that is kind of the bigger thing that I hear when I hear someone say, like, oh, I have a problem. Good, like, you know, or have, you know, push through. That's kind of what Jocko's thing is, like, and there is a huge thing to that, because that is exactly how most successful people, or you should start a new job. Yeah, my boss is fucking way younger than me. Okay,
good.
I know who I am. I know where I'm going to be. I don't make as much money as my neighbor. Okay, that's fine. Today, I don't, you know, and it's like, that's hard though, right? Like, it's
easier said than done.
It's easier said than done. But it is, I think as a people, we forget that. right?
It's good, man.
Because when the fucking storm hits the ship, most of us start to scramble, and then we make a mistake, and we end up falling fucking overboard and dying. Or we just sit on our shitty ship while it's sinking and go, this is our ship. Yeah, this can't happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that are able to adapt and recover, how many stories have you heard where a guy went bankrupt? Maybe 3 times in his fucking life.
Trump?
Well, yeah, honestly though, I mean,
know.
It's not about the president, but that story is very common within people. I was listening to another investment banker on Tim Ferriss's podcast,
and I need to get back into him.
And he was talking about. He's like, I don't remember my successes. But I really study my failures.
Nice.
And it's really interesting because a lot of times we want to forget our failures or forget the lack of comfort, or
we want to celebrate the success and not think about the pain, right?
Yeah, because that's another thing. I own my own business, and a lot of people. It's fucking hard, man. Mm-hmm. It's hard because this is something people don't really understand. I think that don't own a business is like, yeah, there's rewards. There can be rewards, but there's
not working for anyone else.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to. I want to work for myself. I want to make a lot of money.
Schedule.
But the thing that realize when you're working for yourself, that's also how you produce your own fucking money.
Starving artist.
Yeah, so it's also. If you like to handle multiple shitty problems at one fucking time or in one day that you can't even get your other shit done, maybe you should get a business. Maybe you should start a business. Stupid, nuanced things that prohibit you from progressing. Trying to figure those out. Yeah, maybe you should start a business then because you probably have a good thing. But a lot of people just want the dream, but never to work for it. And I think that's like what Jocko's saying is like
discipline equals freedom.
Yeah, shit happens, man. Yeah. If you can the quicker you can get through the shit, the quicker you can get through the lack of clarity, the uncomfortability of things, the quicker it all goes away. And next time you dealt with that,
it's the freedom.
Yeah. Next time you deal with it, you go, oh yeah, dude, I fucking did this. I mean, haven't you done that with a friend or something where it's like, he's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever dealt with in my life. And you go, dude, I dealt with that like 4 years ago. I mean, you don't say that, obviously to a friend that's in trouble, but you say, oh man, you're going to get through it. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you know? Well, because I've been there. I did this exact same thing, and this is just my advice is how I got through it. But, there's just like a child. We talked about this on a previous cast where it's like to them, these things that we deal with on an everyday basis is a catastrophic event where they break down. Mm-hmm. And as a parent or just an adult around a child, you kind of go, what the fuck is that kid's problem?
Yeah.
Because you go, I dealt with that shit. It's like, what are you bitching about? Yeah. It's this or you can't get that? Tough shit. But to them, it's the biggest problem in the world. And that seems to be how we are throughout our life.
Yeah.
That's why they say older people are wiser. No. Well, wiser, I don't know. But dealt with more shit, kicked in the dick a few more times.
It's a lot more observation time.
Yeah. Been more struggle, a little bit, hopefully more self-honest. Yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
And those are all things that are wiser, but.
Fuck, man. A lot of people, when I graduated undergrad, it was towards the depression of, the recession of.
The depression. Fucking Dust Bowl came out.
Yeah, right. But 2008, 2009, that kind of world, where you had a lot of people losing their jobs, and there were a lot of people checking their egos that were high up. They had really good, fucking degrees in this and in 20 years experience in this, but guess what? They got laid off, and they're now working at Ace Hardware.
Well, see, that's why I love ego as the enemy.
Yeah.
Because ego, he talks about that, the rise while you're there and the fucking inevitable fall. Whatever the fall is, you might not go from being an executive to working at Ace Hardware. But
somewhere,
what happens if you're making $400,000 a year and you go down to 60? That's a fall. That's a fall for you, But see that is the interesting thing, man. And it's like
so hard
about the new job kind of scenario. It's like, what are some of the struggles that you've been dealing with, so we can kind of pass those on? Because right now we're just kind of talking about basics, but what are the specific things that you've been struggling with?
I think ego. I think this is the biggest one because, I have people that are younger than me that are, I'm talking like
Oh, yeah, so you got that typical, the example that we just said.
But, I got to keep pumping my own fucking discipline of, I've done a lot of different jobs, and I've had a lot of different fulfillment, and I think my toolbox is a lot bigger than theirs. The problem is I'm just not used to using the tools for this current position.
Yeah, which takes time.
And I think once I hit that stride, I'm going to be a lot more valuable in the long run. It's just, we were just talking investments before. It's just thinking beyond the fucking, thinking what I need to do now, which I'm doing, which is great, but knowing that in the future it's a better decision for what I'm making now, because I'm making the decision for now, not just for chasing the money or chasing this. I feel like I went somewhere that does align with a lot of my different tools and skill background. Now I just need to do the work. This is where the discipline will equate that freedom later on, because I think I'll be able to rise faster, or I'll find a niche that I don't want to rise, and I'll be everything will work out.
Or this is a landing pad.
There it is.
And you'll be there for a little bit, or you'll be there forever, and you'll be happy, or you're there for a little bit, and you kind of better things than a landing pad is like a lily pad. Like a little fucking frog jumping from lily pad to lily pad until you find your way and across the damn pond. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because those are it's ego, and it's just so deep. Yet I think we don't know it. I mean, every time you ever say I can't do that, or that's too hard. I mean, think about it. Like it's all about proficiency and comfortability, because I thought about this. Like, people, make fun of fat people at the gym.
I never do.
No, me neither. But I've never done it. But people do that. Mm-hmm. People like look at them funny, or say something about them, or joke about them, or like you see a fat person running and someone will say something, and it's like, that's in their mind too. And I'm not saying, oh, you're a terrible person for saying that. Like, but that's in their mind. That's their battle. Mm-hmm. Their battle is just the same thing you said. Well, I can't, I have tools, but not to run, not to go to the gym like you do, Wallace. Like, I'm not as skinny and in shape as you are, so I just never do it. Mm-hmm. And like that is
like you said, the fuck it.
Yeah, that's it. But the good fuck it. I want the good fuck it, not the bad fuck it. Not the fuck it run off stage because I'm afraid. Yeah. Right? Like, but it's inevitable in human nature. Like, we only like things that we seem to be good at. Comfortable too. Yeah, and comfortable with. Like, I don't want to learn this thing. I don't want to do, but maybe I do. We were driving, and one of the things I was saying is, like, think about the guy at the 7-Eleven. Mm-hmm. And let's just say he's 24 years old. He's got a baby, and 7-Eleven was the only job he could. It's working. I'm just saying. Yeah. He's got. I'm adding some fuel to the fucking fire for him. But maybe, really, he's a talented kid. He never decided to do anything, and the job, his life just happened to him. He made some mistakes, or not. Life just happened to him, and he's now now working at 7-Eleven, making minimum wage. But maybe that kid has a talent. Maybe he's a really good writer. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's a really good leader. Yeah. But he's in this business where he can never fucking show that to anyone. He's a 7-Eleven clerk. If you ask that kid, is this where you wanted to be? When you're 20, no. Most likely the answer is no. And some people break out of that. I mean, you hear these stories all the time with really successful people, but it's almost like that Facebook effect. Mm. It's like we always forget about that journey that they got there, and we focus on, well, they're there. Like, look where they are. And it's, I want to be there. But are you willing to stay up? Are you willing to maybe make no money for a little bit to do these things? Are you willing to push through that fucking dark valley to get to the next hill? Like, that's kind of the thing. And anyway.
It's a very good point, man, because I do forget how
we
much
all do.
It took
we all
me
do.
to get into this position, or however many people I even beat out, and it's just it's the struggle of learning something new. I think this is just the biggest. I mean, fuck, I any of the jobs I did before I was kind of doing, so this is just something 100% foreign to me. And yes, the certain things I'm doing are very similar, but like the way it's done, the speed it's done, I'm going into a new machine. Yeah,
and there's insecurity in there, and then there's ego.
There's days, once again, where it's almost like riding it's like if I can remember surfing, god damn was that hard. Learning how to surf was the most frustrating experience. I would go with friends who was trying to teach me, and then I couldn't get up. I was doing this and that. Mind you, I was stupid. I didn't realize I was learning on a 6'4", which was one of the hardest things to do on a shortboard. And there'd be days where I just couldn't do it. And you know what I would do when it would be all leaving and, blah, blah, blah. I'd drive home. I'd maybe rest up, eat something, and I'd go back and try it again and just do it on my own and do it on my own. And then my buddy just throws me a bit longboard one day, and I was like, oh, this is easy. I got up, and you know what I did? I didn't ride it again because I went back to my shortboard. I started getting that discipline, and then I became a good surfer. And you just forget all those days of like how much work you really do put in to get to that.
Well, because you had this, and it's weird because with finances, that's really these decisions, right? These new jobs or these new business ideas or experiences, and you start to kind of go. You forget, though. You're right. I love the example you just said about a hobby because I'm trying to learn the guitar. Mm-hmm. You kind of got me into that. Yeah, I've always wanted to learn the guitar. And honestly, there's a lot of things that have been difficult in my life. Parenting's probably number one.
Terrifying.
Guitar is very hard.
It's very hard.
It's very difficult to learn because there's moments when you're playing the guitar and you go, holy shit, I got it.
Yeah.
And then maybe one day later you go, I fucking suck at this piece of shit machine, and I want to break it. I want to throw it out the window and never touch it again. And some people do that.
Yep.
And some people go, you know what? I just had a bad day and I sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And they move on. And that's like what you're saying with surf. Like, hey, you know how many people would have quit at that time? I would have quit surfing at that time.
A lot of people do.
Mainly because I'm petrified of water.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, we forget the things we're good at. And we go, and the ego kind of shows, well, we're good. We're good at these things.
Yeah.
And we forget that there's a journey to all these little processes in life. And one of the reasons I think we don't want to do them is because it sucks. It sucks to watch a guy that can play the guitar, and then you put your little fingers on the guitar, and it's like, and you're like, dude, I swear yesterday I was doing this right. Like, oh, fuck. You know?
You know what's a good example of this, man? I love that. I don't remember the coach's comment, but before the McGregor-Mayweather fight, I don't know anything about Conor McGregor. Even on the day when we watched
he is a good example of this, though.
He is a great example. I still was not like a fan of him.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I went to Dublin in 2013. I have an Ireland shirt, and I wore it. We watched the fight, and I became like a believer within like that week. I just was like, I read one of the coolest comments from a coach who said, it's like putting a shark versus a lion. They're in two different domains. But guess what? This motherfucker, say he's a shark, went on land and fought that lion in his domain and won the first 2 to 3 rounds. Yes, he was taking the pedal off.
He did all right.
But not many motherfuckers are willing to do that.
Yes.
Uncomfortable.
And see, I'm not a Conor McGregor fanboy. But well,
it's a word. It's true.
I think the thing is though is it's like any sport though, right? Like people love you or hate you.
Tebow's playing baseball and he's doing good.
Yeah, and it's like, people love you or they hate you. Sports is a good example because Conor McGregor is a perfect example. Let's not get off of him
it's a good one.
For a second, and then we'll probably just wrap this thing up, be a little quick one. But Conor McGregor, there is an utter belief. Like, if he said, I can fucking go grab the moon, you kind of doubt him. You go, that's insanity. And you go, let me see what this motherfucker can do, though. Let me see if he can actually do that. Because impressive. He has such a belief in himself.
Yeah.
And to be curious to really get into his mind. But you figure this out, that there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And is Conor McGregor probably good at every aspect of his life? Fuck no.
I guess he could plummet, too.
Well, he doesn't have that. What I'm saying is he doesn't have that discipline probably in every aspect of his life.
Probably not.
There are things that he's probably doesn't have a belief in. But it's really interesting when you see someone in their element and they have that belief.
And then he went into a different element and brought that same belief, which was so goddamn inspiring.
And you know what's interesting?
It really
the thing that's fascinating about a guy like that.
Fanboy week.
Well, and that's okay, because really, I think people just are not. They don't appreciate. That is why Conor McGregor. He's not the best MMA fighter to ever live. He's not the best fighter to ever live. That's insanity talk.
Yeah.
But you know what's about him? There's an aura about a guy that believes what he is saying and then does it 95% of the time. because no one does. It's like Warren Buffett, right? Like the guy's right 95% of the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, you can focus. Oh, he's wrong 5, but dude, he makes smart decisions most of the time. He's not the best. He's not the best person in the world because I've read some things about Warren Buffett. He sounds like a terrible father and a terrible husband. You know, and obviously as you're trying to balance and grow on the journey of life, you're trying to get all these aspects. But I don't know, the belief thing about Conor McGregor is interesting to me because he's
the ego. It's gone. I mean, it's an inflated ego in a good way, but
he's got a bravado.
What should I do?
There's a bravado about him. It's ego. It's because the thing about him. This is what I was going to say. It's not so much when he wins.
Yeah.
It's his loss. He's lost twice. You've seen him lose to an MMA fight, and he's lost a boxing match. Mm-hmm. And the guy isn't. I mean, he's just not inflated. Yeah, and, you know, like Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, he got paid $100 million. Give me $100 million too. I ain't gonna fucking give a shit. Mm-hmm. But the thing is to be walking around so cocky. I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna do these things. And see, as men, we kind of connect to that because that's like the testosterone thing. Like, dude, you can knock someone. Whoa, man! Yeah. But to have the balls to stand and defeat this pretty much the same way you stood in victory and the same way you stood pre-game is really impressive.
Oh man, it's
no change, and that is what we're talking about, right? Like
it is because
that's how you have to face things in life.
A new start, and you're bringing that same comfortability you had in the ring that you maybe just crushed it, but now you got to go to this next obstacle because hey, guess what? This is a perfect way to kind of wrap this up. You're climbing the hill. It's not just going to be this nice clean shot up. You're going to have certain moments where you're on maybe that underhang where you're hanging by one hand and you just made this awesome cool climb and you're like, holy shit, yeah. And then now you're feeling a little comfortable, but guess what? There's probably a lot more of those on the road.
Yeah.
And you've got to do it again.
Not probably.
There are.
There is.
There are.
Because your problems today in maybe an hour, days, weeks, months, years will not be the same problems. But fucking, if there's one thing I have seen in life from talking to other people, it's there will be problems and there will be challenges. And it's about how you get through them. And I just don't think we talk about that enough. So
I think it's good.
This was your idea as a topic. Well, I mean, I thought it was a great topic.
Like McGregor and Diaz, hopefully there's a third round. We'll give a nice update on myself and see how I feel.
Yeah, man. Let's keep trucking here.
Bitching.
We're trying to do more, guys, but this is it. This is 2-0. We're probably going to be pumping out some more here.
Nice.
But this has been Between X and Z. I am Dozer.
This is Wallace.
See you guys.
Late.